we'll start with just talking about the Tigers briefly, and then I'll get into this. So, first things first. Tigers start with a tough opening weekend. They go 0-3 against the Dodgers. They finally get a win last night against the Mariners. The offense has been playing pretty well. And my thought was, okay, are the Dodgers just really good? Evidence is showing yes, the Dodgers are just really good. But the other thing is, I'm a little, and maybe this is just it's too early. I understand. I'm not, jumping off a ledge. I'm a little underwhelmed by the pitching. Like, Jackson Jobe, he was fine. Rookie. I'm not gonna. He definitely. I'll give him more time. Tarek Skubal, fine. It wasn't the typical Tarek Skubal dominance that we were expecting. Again, it's the Dodgers, so what are you supposed to do? But even like outside of that, Flaherty, I think he pitched a pretty good game. But the bullpen, that was so good last year that really helped propel this team, it's showing a little bit of, I guess, growing pains. And I'm willing to say, okay, it's early, let it kind of cook a little bit, let the pitchers kind of get used to it. It seems like even early on, the offense for a lot of teams is just very potent. So maybe that's just that. Got to give it a little bit of time. So, I'm willing to wait it out at the very least. So there's that. The other thing is obviously Gleyber Torres goes down, which is, literal injury to insults, because now you lose 3 straight and then you lose Gleyber Torres, who is one of your offseason acquisitions. But Justin Henry Malloy comes up and he plays really well. So ironically, after the first few games, I'm far less concerned than I am about the offense. I'm far less concerned about the offense than I am about the pitching. Now, that's sort of its own thing. I'm not saying that everything is awesome and that we have the greatest offense ever. That's not what I'm saying. All of this is leading into, well, either way, this is just 4 games in, so things could change rather quickly. But that's not primarily what I wanted to talk about. But I did want to acknowledge the Tigers a little bit because that's my team. The thing I want to talk about is this. The story that has taken hold of the baseball world and even beyond the baseball world, people in just the sports world in general. The torpedo bats. All right. So basically, my understanding of the torpedo bats is it was developed by some genius scientist out of Harvard or something. Whatever. And basically, all it does is it reallocates where some of the wood in the bat goes, so that basically you have, more wood where the ball is typically getting hit. I don't really know, but these are not, contrary to popular belief, these are not new. They have been used before. They've been used in spring training before by other teams, and currently they're being used by more than just one team. There's a lot of sentiment that, oh my gosh, it's just the Yankees. They developed this crazy. Well, yeah, the guy from the Yankees developed it, I suppose, or pushed for it. But, Ellie De La Cruz on the Reds was using it. I believe the Braves put in an order. I remember hearing that. All of this torpedo bat nonsense aside, all the not the politics, all the lore behind what it is. The one thing that I have been driven crazy about, and this is not coming from a Yankee fan. I have no sympathy largely for the Yankees. The people saying this is cheating are just plain wrong. like first of all, forget the team that's utilizing it, okay? For a second. Just forget that. Let's say it was the Marlins, okay? Forget whoever it was. The fact of the matter is, it is not against the rules. Let me say it one more time. It is not against the rules. Let me say it one more time. It is not against the rules. So if you don't like it, then you have 2 options. Option number 1, cope and seethe. Option number 2, start using them. That's how I see it. It's the same thing with this tush push. And everybody who makes fun of the Packers for being soft and for being losers, for wanting to get it banned, and for all those other 16 teams who voted in favor of it being banned, all of those teams, and if the Lions voted in favor of banning it, I'm going to say that about them. They are losers, okay? They are sad, pathetic losers who are blaming the rules or blaming some play that is not universally successful anyway because another team is very good at utilizing it. If the torpedo bats were so good, if they were like the I don't remember the episode of Jimmy Neutron, but the one episode where they had baseball bats and mitts that made them way better at baseball than they actually were. If that's what the torpedo bat is, why isn't everybody using them? Why isn't Aaron Judge using it? Aaron Judge, already a very good baseball player. Why wouldn't he be using it? Isn't it interesting too that all the players that are, hitting home runs, that are hitting just better in general, isn't it interesting that they're all like good players? You know what's funny? You don't see I'm trying to think of some random bad players. You don't see Daz Cameron. I don't even know if he's still in the league. You don't see Daz Cameron starting to rake home runs with the torpedo bat. Javi Baez, he has yet to get the torpedo bat, so I'll hold off. But if Javi Baez had a torpedo bat, would he suddenly be, Lou Gehrig? Somehow I doubt it. Somehow I just don't think that'll be the case. So this all just comes down to this. You can't say something is cheating if it is not against the rule. That is literally the definition of cheating. Like it's as stupid as if I said to you, you know what I hate? I hate that, the Tigers, they got better quality mitts than the other teams, and so that's why they're winning. And they're cheating because their mitts are so much better quality. And it's like, well, okay, yeah, maybe they have better quality mitts. Are they against the? Well, no, they're not banned or anything. They're just really good quality. Like, then buy good mitts. Like, if these bats are the miracle worker, then buy the bats. Seems very simple to me. It seems like a pretty 1-to-1. If these are the magic bats that make it so that people who can't hit can suddenly hit. If you can't hit, go get the bat. Not that long ago, I was reading a book. I don't remember who it was by, but it was basically a book about the history of some of the worst players in all of baseball. The history of, from bad managers, bad ownership, players who did a bunch of steroids but still sucked, or players who cheated otherwise. Like, I read these books, and throughout the book, you encounter these stories of guys, specifically guys who were caught on doing steroids, who still sucked. And I think people have a bit of a misnomer for what some of these, even steroids do. Steroids don't make it so that you don't strike out as much as you normally would. Steroids don't make it so that you draw more walks, although maybe inadvertently they would. What they do is make it so that your single is now actually a triple, or your double is now actually a home run. And any injury that you might sustain, instead of it being a 60-day IL, is now a 30-day IL. All of that to say, the bats don't make it so that you go from hitting below the Mendoza line or, with a 500 OPS to Barry Bonds, but they do probably make it so that you go from, decent to maybe a little better. I don't know. It's not going to take you from terrible player to amazing player, but it might provide some boost. I don't know. Like, these bats have been around for a while. I tend to disagree that the source of some players failing is because he's not using the right baseball bat. So all of this is to say, if you think these torpedo bats are so ridiculous, they're unfair, the Yankees should be ashamed of themselves, why don't you just get better pitching? You ever think of that? You know what makes it so that the bat doesn't matter? When you have good swing and miss. When you can locate the strike zone. The bat doesn't make your eye at the plate any better. I don't know if this is a shock to you, but you don't suddenly become a really good hitter because you got a new baseball bat. Let me tell you, if I had one of these torpedo bats, I still wouldn't be a good baseball player. All right? If you gave one of these baseball bats to Michael Jordan back in the day, he still wouldn't be a good baseball player. So, to all the whiners, to all the, I have no other way of putting it, all the loser mentality people who want to say that the Yankees are cheating or that the bats should be illegal or whatever. Whether they should or shouldn't be illegal, it will be up to the players or to the players reps, to the players union and the ownership, presumably when they come to a collective bargaining agreement, or if Major League Baseball just says outright, all right, we're done, we're just going to get rid of it. Short of that happening, it's not cheating. So don't complain about it. Just beat it. Same thing with the tush push. Green Bay's a bunch of losers. Sorry, I just wanted to point that out there because it's true. Hi, it's me again. If you enjoyed what you just saw, hit the like and subscribe button. We do live shows every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Hope to see you there.